Got someone coming in saying, have you seen Dennis McCann on the juice? Well, there you go. It's hard for, you know, his career's finished. He's not going to get through that the way Ben did. Different kettle of fish there, lad. You've got Ben, powerful reputation in the game of boxing due to his dad. He can fight, he's fast, he's in the right weight, he's in the right category. Loads of opponents out there for him. The substance within his system was completely different to the substances that's in this McCann system. I firmly believe that they haven't mentioned the cocaine abuse. They just mentioned the steroid abuse. I firmly believe, and I'll stick to what I say, what I said 4 weeks ago when I put yous on, that McCann won't be fighting. Why? Because he's a cokehead. Okay, I got it wrong. But he never fought because he was on drugs. So I weren't far off the line, was I? And it's like the boxing world, it's like they're hiding a dirty secret there. And unless they let it be known that there's a big serious problem of amateur boxers and professional boxers in this country on cocaine, they're never going to solve the problem. You're always going to have young lads stepping into the gyms, going through the motions, getting themselves into this big boss path of life where they're winning fights, becoming contenders in championship fights, and then they're going to party and ending up on coke. And all the little scumbags off their local area that never dedicated themselves to training 4 times a week, that never dedicated themselves to removing themselves off the estate every evening, so they're getting driven to the gym to train. It's them saying that are encouraging this young lad to have a sniff on the Saturday. Just have one, lad, it won't damage you. The same I've got it, and I've been for years, while this kid has been on that path, training his heart out like a lion, gets to them places, starts enjoying his adult life a little bit because he's winning and he's reaching goals. Still mixing with the shower of shit that he should have left behind, and it's the shower of shit that make the kid get on the coke, his boxing career up. You see him 20 years down the line as a boxing coach. Finished. I'm not saying boxing coaches are finished, but the point I'm making is to where he could have been if he never took that coke, to where he ended up because he took the coke. 2 different places, mate. And there's a big, like, it's like a quiet agenda to keep the sport of boxing clean. Like, no, we haven't got no serious cocaine addiction problems within the sport of boxing. No, we haven't got no da-da-da-da-da. And in the interests of the sport, they're letting hundreds of kids develop addictions. Instead of raising awareness about the problem within the sport, they're protecting it, letting the problem get worse in the sport. Do you understand what I mean? You know, instead of just like coming out like Eddie Hearn, in the last 15 years, I've seen a steady influx of people within the boxing game establishing addictions to cocaine. I feel it's a serious problem. I feel it needs addressing. I feel if there's any fighters out there that need any help with coming away from these substances, if you've got them problems, there's this there for you, there's that there for you, and there's that there for you. Don't suffer. Don't go any worse on this substance. Don't make this any worse for yourselves. Come forward, have a little chat for us. You're not going to get kicked out of this. You're not going to get fucked for this. Blah. That's what they should be doing. But they're just completely turning a blind eye. They're not even mentioning none of this shit. And when they are failing the drug tests for cocaine, they're putting it out there like it's an illegal substance of steroids or an ingredient from eggs or shit like this. And that's probably what you got with Ben. You know, he failed cocaine testing. And they're covering the real problem in boxing to do with cocaine sniffing and addiction. It's massive. I was seeing it when I was a kid. You know, I always refer to the Burkes on our estate, because David Burke was the closest I've been to who if he wouldn't have definitely would have became a world champion. I'm not even sure whether he became a champion somewhere. You know, he won all the belts. He was under Frank Warren when he was 18, 19. He was getting 50 grand a fight. If he won a fight, he'd get 50 bags like this. But the cocaine got him. You know, you'd see him. You wouldn't see him on the estate. You might see him over a weekend, because he'd be training 5 nights a week, David. And Tommy, his older brother. And Stephen, his younger brother. They were all avid boxers, the Burkes. And they were the closest. David Burke was the closest I've been to physically, real life, not watched, round. Closest I've seen as a champion. I've been round Kelbrook. I've met Kelbrook and been in his company for a few hours, but he was, again, off the sniff. Kelbrook, example, off the sniff. David Burke, off the sniff. Loads, Joe Calzaghe, off the sniff. Prince Nazim Ahmed, off the sniff. Gary Rhodes, off the sniff. Little McCann there, yeah, it's steroids, I'm telling you, it's off the sniff. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So to sit there and deny that there's not a major problem within the boxing industry when it comes to being addicted to cocaine, you're not doing the sport any good, and you're not doing the lads who are developing these addictions in their early years in that sport any favours. Two I-420, hope you good. Neo Bass say no one likes the truth. I know it's hard to deal with, isn't it? Especially these days when you've got brands and like this that seem to be more important than the person. You know, people will let someone destroy themselves so the brand doesn't get harmed. It's mad. It's weird. It's like when you've got a homeless person with a dog, and you see these charity givers walking through the town, and they walk over to the homeless person, you think he's going to get looked after. But they look after the dog and completely ignore the homeless person that's owning the dog. They'll turn up, dog fresh water, fresh food, blankets, a little bit of this, say hi to the homeless man, off. And that's sort of similar to what's happening now with these boxers. To protect the brand, they're letting them get up and then saying off. As long as the brand's okay. And these lads who get off by these promoting because of drugs and whatever, they've got to sign contracts, and if they open their mouth they get sued by these Eddie Hearns and these Frank Warrens and all these shit, and these are the ones that are trying to protect the brands instead of protecting the individuals that created the brand for them. Yeah, so let's just say, for an example, right? Hypothetically again, I'm not saying this is the case, I'm saying just imagine it could be the case, right? So you've got Anthony Joshua, been under Eddie Hearn for a long time. He's created this big brand, and this brand's worth Brewster's, and the money that he's getting through off sponsors and advertisement due to this brand that he's created under Eddie Hearn is immaculate. And if that gets a single stain on it, that sponsor pulls out, which withdraws £1 million from your yearly annual income. You know, the dirtier it gets, that advertisement, that sponsor, this has gone, this has gone, this has gone. So now this brand is dirty and not worth a pot to piss in. So, Anthony Joshua, the face of the brand, behind the scenes, he's ended up on the coke. hypothetically, I'm not saying it's happened, I'm just giving you a theory. Instead of Eddie Hearn tending to Joshua and getting him off his addiction and getting him off his shit and getting him off that, he'll probably say to Joshua, "You're your own man, kid, do what you want, just be safe, be calm." His whole interest is making sure this brand doesn't get dirtied. And this is what you're witnessing on a large scale. Loads of young lads behind a brand who are up on drugs, and it's not being addressed, because if they address it, it'll all come out and the brand will be dirtied. And their investment into that brand has just gone overnight. Cancelled. You know what this world's like. Same in the MMA world. You know, you're seeing loads of examples of people in the MMA world that are fights up. Conor McGregor. If Conor McGregor went on the coke, he wouldn't be attending these up parties with up gangsters. He wouldn't be putting himself at risk at parties with little sweaty birds. The only reason he's in them situations that he's in now is due to his drug taking. Now the people behind the scenes, your Dana White, all these type of individuals, have known about his drug abuse for years before it came to a climax. They never tended to it. They never tried to prevent him getting worse on the substance. They haven't tried to pull him away and fix him and get him away from all the bullshit. They just left him in his own little devices and protected the brand of the UFC. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now look at him. They were close. Conor McGregor and Dana White, making millions off each other for years. As soon as the shit hits the fan because of his sniffing and his behaviour, as soon as he can dirty the brand, he got off. As soon as Conor McGregor's conviction in that civil case came to fruition, Dana White distanced himself straight away. Why? Protect the brand. And whether it's Darren, whether it's any other MMA fighter that's end up on the coke and ruin their careers, whether it's any other boxer and all these types of people, they haven't been looked after. The brand has took priority over the person who's creating the brand. And that's always going to be the case. You see it in football. What do they do to protect their brands in football? They will go out their way to protect that football player that's just scraped them two birds in a hotel room. They would pay millions to keep this shit from out of the public eye. Why? Because of the brand. Not because of the player. It's because of the brand the player represents. On and on. Let's get rid of a few dickheads. The point I'm making here is the fact that there's loads of lads that aren't being looked after the way they should be in the fight world. The minute they identify a young kid who's developing a sniff addiction, they should be saying, "You, get here, get this solved now." Not just watching them up like your Billy Joe Saunders and shit like this. You see all these boss fighters that you're seeing when you're growing up and you're going, "Wow, these are bosties," and they've got your attention, and all of a sudden you just start going to, you just start waning off and going to, thinking, "Wow, what's happened there?" Yeah, you're right, lad. Drinking drugs has happened there. It's exactly what's happened there. Drinking drugs. Now them people know, like I say, they know, they can see the deterioration. They can see his worth ethic going. They can see him stinking of ale when he's coming in, when he should be training. They know, but to protect the brand, so they can still make money on the big fights and shit. They let these people like Joe Saunders and others like him, you know, get a little bit of a mad injury in the fight, knocks them off the training schedules for a little bit, they get back on the drink, get back on the sniff, there you go. Like Tyson Fury, it's what happens with Tyson Fury. Before he became his own thing, he was under a brand. And the people that could see him deteriorating behind the scenes never protected him, they protected the brand. And that's why he ended up, and that's probably why you see him on a regular basis going through this cycle of events in his life. Flying high, taking low, flying high, taking low. If that would have started getting addressed when he was young by the people that was protecting his brand, he wouldn't be like that. He wouldn't be in a mess when he reached his adulthood. Within these gyms now, in these boxing gyms, not all of them, in the city of Liverpool, boxing gyms all over the gap, you've got 16, 17-year-old kids with a world-class talent already sniffing. They're already sniffing. I can remember being out when I was younger, and I used to go out every so often. I used to go out, and in this one particular occasion we've all gone out and there's been a big gang of us, and when I mean a big gang of us, there's been me and a few of my people, and then Craig Barker, the kid, and his people. Now his people were not the same as my people. His mates were school kids, college kids, working kids, boxers. And one of the kids that he had round him at that time was a boxer called Darren Matthews. And he was good at what he was doing at his time. But when we'd go out, I'd see Darren Matthews sniffing off his cake, and I'd be pulling him aside going, do you understand what you're jeopardising here? Do you understand what you're going to do to your boxing career if you continue to do this? Because that's the way I was, not just with him. With loads of kids that were up on this shit. I'm trying to say, Swerve sniffing that, Swerve taking that. I've seen it with Billy, you know, my older brother. And then I've seen it with loads of boxers, this is what I'm saying, loads of boxers who were on your tellies, who were fighting for Sky Sports, who were fighting under Frank Warren and getting all these big public fights and big money for them. And then they're sitting with us on a weekend getting twisted off face on coke. And then the following Monday they're on Sky Sports News doing like they're not on drugs. It's happening all the time. Yes, Grant, it hasn't stopped. If Berkey never ended up on the coke, he would have been like the Barry McGuigan of Liverpool. David. One of the best boxers you set your eyes on, David Burke, and it was the coke that did. Defo. There's no other reason for him not to have done. It got him to the point, David, where he'd sit there and his fingers would go mad. He'd sit there like that. That's how he was on it. And it's not just him. Billy was his mate, done it. Moch, mate, done it. Ferris the Snitch, the Rat, done it. David McCullough, done it. Georgie Wade, done it. The whole group of them just end up on coke. Some survived, some didn't. Billy didn't. You know, it was the coke that Billy up. A large proportion of the lads that are topping themselves up and down the country now. Cocaine's right in the mix of it. Oh yeah, no. So there's loads of pure, solid boxing lads that have ended up on drugs. And that's the environment and the communities that we live in now. It's not just boxers, not just MMA fighters, you know, I'm talking like footy players. Our estate was full of schoolboys Alan Navarro, Lee Pryor, Billy Kenny, Stephen Taylor, your Duncan Millers and that, even they were good, and drugs for them. That's what I'm saying, lad. It's just, I can't understand why you can't see the damage of drugs. I just can't comprehend how you can live in our communities and not see what drugs has done. Isn't it? Can you not see what it's done to you and your family? Have you got anyone who's got an addiction in your family? That's what drugs done to them. Oh, it's their choice. It's not their choice sometimes. Sometimes, you know, they're in times of need and you've got a little preying, perverted, manipulative, horrible cunt. This'll make you feel better. Addicted, see you later. Yes, big. Good night, God bless, mates. Everyone else that's in here, it's coming up to 12 o'clock. There's 268 people in here. Drugs are destroying our communities, people. You've got kids peddling these drugs that don't understand what they're doing. But then you've got men that are giving these kids the drugs to peddle and they fully understand what they're doing. Fully. They know exactly what that young lad's going to go through for dealing them drugs for him. You know exactly the consequences this kid's going to feel for taking his risks. He knows this. He's been through his jail. He's had his ma's doors kicked in. He's had his umpteen birds. He can't hold a relationship down. He's got a scar on his face. He's being shot at. He knows what goes on in this life. And he's encouraging that 16-year-old kid to get in it. He needs putting him up against the wall, doesn't he? Think about what I'm saying. He needs lining up on the wall and putting an engrave in my book. Why? Because he knows he's about to set that kid off on a 20-year traumatic life experience. And the kid mightn't come out the other end. He might only get 10 years through shit and get himself shot dead or lifed off or something. And it's not just that young lad. You know, it's his mum. If he's got little sisters or brothers, it affects them all. The family home gets affected. Everything. Just keep it real, people. Protect the children, protect the future. If you're a young lad and you're getting caught up in that mess thinking that's the life, that's the way forward, it's not, kid. Obviously, you're not going to be judged by me. I'm not here to judge you, mate. I'm here to encourage you to think what you're doing and understand what you are doing. If it's wrong, it's not the way forward. You know it's not for yourself. You're not stupid. How do you know it's not? Because when you walk out the door with that on you, you're paranoid from the police. That's how you know it's not right what you're doing. Yes, chop. That's how you should know. You're not stupid. There's a reason why you're hiding from police, because what you're doing is wrong. You don't really need anyone else to tell you. You know, don't... Even going to jail for a year, 18 months here, little year there, little 3 years here, little da-da-da-da-da. It all adds up and it's all going to do damage. Every little thing you do is going to harm you when you get older. Them lads that are encouraging you to get on this, they're damaged as they're beyond repair, and they're just trying to damage you along the way. Don't let them do it. And ignore the helmets, mate. You know, the little weird ones. Just ignore them. They're funny, aren't they? Little creatures from Essex and that. Boys chatting major twisted up. Steve, how's summer plans, Daz? Not even thinking about summer, mate. I don't know. Cocoa Pops. Thinking about that now, lah. Just getting me book writ. Writing me book. Keeping focused on that. Mellowing out a little bit in the mind. Getting me interviews going for me podcast. So I've got a few things to be doing this year. Got a few people asking for a podcast to be interviewed on their podcasts. So I'm going to be busy this year, like promoting a message. Choose a life, not a knife. That's what it's all about, mate. Everyone else and anyone else. Choose a life, not a knife, lad. Protect the children, protect the future. That's what it's really about. Sally saying can't wait for the book. It'll be worth the wait, actually, mate. Definitely worth the wait. Yes, Michelle. Peace out, so 5 shout.